I sat down with Salman Sima, a former political prisoner of the Islamic Republic in Iran and a torture survivor of the IRGC, to discuss the raising of the Palestinian flag in a Canadian city, an event that he described as surrendering to the Islamists. Here's that conversation. Salman, thank you so much for joining me and taking the time to have this conversation with me. I wanted to ask you about an event that took place in Canada just the other day. It was the raising of the Palestinian flag in Toronto Square. You weren't there, but you had a few things to say about that.
Thank you, Kat, for inviting me to your show. I was not there. I cannot tolerate to see that the Jihadi flag is raising up in the city that I am living. So, symbols are very important, and it was a sad day for Canada. It was a sad day for Toronto, and on October 7, 8 Canadians. I'm talking about Canadians. 8 Canadians were brutalized and killed by Hamas terrorists. And 2 years after that, the mayor of Toronto, the officials in several cities across Canada, they rewarding terrorists by raising the Palestinian flag, despite the fact that we don't know where is the Palestine. You cannot say that from A to B is a Palestine. There is no such a country as a Palestine. And Mark Carney can recognize Narnia as well.
Right. Just a quick question about that. Some people would say that when you refer to that flag as a jihadi flag, they would call you bigoted and racist and Islamophobic. What would you say to those people?
That is jihadi flag, and according to just one poll, more than 75% of the people that living in that area, they are supporter of Hamas terrorists. They are supporting October 7. We know that some hostages were in the hands of civilians in Gaza, and my question is that Jordan, Egypt, both of them are neighbor countries with Gaza. Why they don't accept any refugees? Because they are jihadi, and I am Muslim. I am proud Muslim. I can speak and understand Quran. I do not need anyone translate my holy book for myself. But by calling Palestinian, I don't know where is the Palestine. That's my problem. By calling that flag Palestinian flag as a jihadi flag, if anyone call me name, I proudly take it as a badge of honor.
I wanted to get your thoughts on the state of immigration in Canada over the last 10 years in general. Do you see a problem with what currently is happening? If you do, and I'm sure that you do, when did you start see this starting to happen? When did you notice it? And what do you make of all the Islamists that march through the streets of Canada carrying that flag, terrorizing neighborhoods, sometimes even resorting to violence, death threats, chanting death to this country? What do you make of all of that?
So you raise a very good question. I can say that I see the same pattern. I came here in 2011 as a refugee. I always say that legal refugee. I was vetted by a Canadian embassy in Turkey 2 times. I were interviewed by UN experts, and after all legal level, I came to this beautiful country. Since the moment that I came, I feel some vibe that, oh, this is not the Canada that I was thinking. This is not a Canada that I imagined. This is not a Canada that were advertised. And day by day, the first thing that I saw, it was in Dundas Square in Toronto. The first day that I went there, I saw that some people, they are trying to whitewash 9/11, and I just got shocked. Then I said that, okay, Salman, this is a free country. People are, they are free. This is a free speech. And it was a first shock for me. I never forget that. It was just I was in Toronto for a few days. That I just came here with as a refugee. I was waiting to find a new home, going to ESL classes. Just it was the first 3 days that I was in Toronto. It was in 2011, May 2011, and the first thing that it was October 2015, the moment that Justin Trudeau was elected as a Prime Minister of Canada. And after that, we had motion M103. If you remember, they want to ban criticizing Islam, despite the fact that we have two major branch in Islam, Shia and Sunni. Both of them are criticizing each other. So you're gonna call Shia Muslim Islamophobe, or you want to call Sunni Muslim Islamophobe. So it was so alarming for me. Motion M103 in 2015. And after that, if you remember, Justin Trudeau gave $10 billion to Omar al Khadir, convicted terrorist of Al Qaeda who had American blood on his hand. At that time, I said that, wow, such a country I'm living. And it was during the Freedom Convoy that I escaped from tear gas. I escaped from IRGC oppression. I escaped from seeing that the regime violating human rights. I was in the street. I was fighting with IRGC. I saw that IRGC thugs shoot the tear gas. And I came here as a refugee. February 2022, Ottawa, Wellington Street. I see that there's a famous sign with modern typing, no name, no face, no number. I see that Justin Trudeau thugs, no face, no name, no badge number. They shoot tear gas to the Canadian veterans. They shoot tear gas to those people that are screaming peace and love, peace and love. I was there, first line. And I saw that they shoot the tear gas to Alexandra, the Rebel News journalist. It happens in front of my eyes, and I became emotional. I do remember that peaceful Canadians, they didn't have any experience that how you should treat tear gas, and they give a water to each other, or they try to wash their eyes with the water. This is the worst thing for cleaning your eyes after affected by tear gas. You need a smoke. In the middle of the crowd, I was screaming that no water, just smoke, no water, just smoke. At that moment, I see Canada is falling, is failing. And I'm so sad because what happened yesterday in several major cities of Canada, it was surrounding to jihadists, and it was a sad day for Canada. But if Islamist IRGC, Muslim Brotherhood, or those terrorists think that I'm gonna give up the fight, no, I'm gonna double my fight. And I ask all my Canadians friends, stand up. Still, there is a hope. We can take back our country.
So, would you say there's a difference between people like yourself who fled a tyrannical regime and the people that are now marching through the streets, and that they're not marching based out of religious conviction for their religion? They're marching for a political ideology. They're marching for the lack of a better word, Islamism. Would you agree with that characterization of these people?
Uh, you are too nice with these people. I escaped from that kind of regime. Okay, I lived under Sharia law. I was tortured under Sharia law. I called them terrorist sympathizer, and you see that in a woman yesterday in Nathan Phillips Square in Toronto. She clearly said that I love Hamas, I love Hamas. Even they don't hide it. All I am saying, believe themselves. If sounds like a duck and walk like a duck, it is a duck. Okay. If they call for jihad, if they support Hamas, if they burn Canadian flag, if they chant for intifada, if they chant for jihad, they are terrorists. Done.
Why do you think a lot of Canadians, native born Canadians, who we try to present this information to, look, it walks like a duck, it talks like a duck, it quacks like a duck, it supports a terrorist state, it, you know, kills people for being of a certain orientation, it persecutes people, political prisoners, torturers. Why do you think they're unable to process that, and their only response to someone like yourself who tries to point them in the direction of these facts, all they can do is scream and yell Islamophobe, hater, bigot? Why do you think they're not able to process the facts that you present?
So, because, as I said during my speech in Freedom Convoy, uh, I didn't born in freedom. Okay, maybe I don't know the value of freedom as much as my Canadian friends know. Maybe, but I do know, definitely, I do know how tyranny looks like. I know tyranny better than many our Canadians our Canadian audience. So you should see the patterns. Okay, this is not just a matter of Palestine, Israel, or conflict in the Middle East. No, it is not matter of that. I see that. The moment that the Islamic regime took power in 1979 revolt, they banned lion and sun flag. They changed the flag of the country. 3 years ago, waving Canadian flag was illegal on Canadian soil in front of Parliament Hill in Ottawa. They violated our Charter of Rights and Freedom for waving Canadian flag and chanting for freedom. See the patterns. The first things that Islamic regime did after 1979 revolt, they give the key of Israeli embassy to PLO, Palestinian Liberation Organization. Mark Carney rewards terrorists by acknowledging there is a state as a Palestine, which I don't know that. If you see the patterns, I see that. I feel that. Okay, I came here as a refugee. I live under Sharia law for 28 years, and hopefully our Canadian friends they'll live in freedom, and they think that they will be always free. No, you want to be always free. Stand on guard for Canada. You need to some sacrifice. You need to wake up. If you think that liberals, conservative, this party, that politician, Toronto police, Vancouver police, Montreal police, RCMP systems, if you think that they're gonna keep you free and safe, you're deadly wrong.
They do say that freedom is only ever one generation away from being lost. So God bless you for fighting for that here in Canada. Are you able to talk a little bit about how it was like living under Sharia law in a tyrannical regime? Are you able to describe that a little bit for the Canadians who just don't want to believe that similar things are happening here in Canada?
So it's very easy. Uh, eh, Not easy. Maybe it's easy for me because I had that experience. So you cannot drink beer easily. If you drink alcohol, you can receive some lashes from the government. You don't have a free and fair trial. You have a two-tier policing, two-tier justice system. You have political prisoners. You cannot criticize your government. You have a national TV broadcast that receive your taxpayer money in Iran under the Sharia law. We have it. We have uh, a state TV, regimes TV. We have here, you can call CBC as a regimes media. So you should see the patterns. It's a I'm not going to say that it is exactly similar, but we are very close. We are very close to collapse. We are very close to become another UK. And yeah, I myself, I see Canada First movement in Canada. We're gonna fight for this country, okay? But at the same time, when you see that Toronto police turn off your national anthem, it is not just a mistake. It is not a bylaw by the city. It says everything. When you see Toronto police deliver coffee to the jihadis, when you see the Toronto police feel offended by waving Canadian flag, it should show you something. You know that under Sharia law, you are not allowed to hold the hands of your girlfriend. You are not allowed to have access to the beaches freely. You cannot wear any clothes that you want. And the more important things, government gonna control you under Sharia law. Who you are inviting in your home, which person you sleep with in the bed, which kind of food you drink, which kind of food you eat, and lots of the other things. You know that they gonna come to your personal life. And jokingly, if I'm gonna say, it's not 100% exactly, but jokingly, if I'm gonna say that Sharia law is 1,000 times worse than COVID lockdown.
Well, some of the things you mentioned, for example, two-tier policing, political prisoners, criticizing government being banned, government-controlled TV, them coming to your home to police what you do, even in your own home. A lot of that is already happening here in Canada.
That's all I'm saying. That's
That
all I am saying.
when you were saying that, it reminded me so much of the COVID lockdowns, the political persecution of Tamara Leach and Chris Barber, you know, them patrolling how many people you can have in your home during the lockdowns. And it's all very, very familiar of a tyrannical regime. And I remember myself trying to sound the alarm, if you will, on these things that were happening because I myself fled a tyrannical regime. We fled communism, a lot of similarities there. And we were trying to sound the alarm. And similarly to what people do now in response to you sounding these alarm bells, I had the same response. They called me an alarmist. They said, you're hateful. They said, you're crazy for saying, hey
Definitely,
guys,
definitely, I hate jihad. Definitely, I hate Hamas. Definitely, I hate Hezbollah. I hate Islamic regime. I hate Chinese Communist Party. I hate Fidel Castro. I hate Che Guevara. Name it. Definitely, I hate those people that violated our Charter of Right and Freedom, and those people who freeze our bank accounts.
the last thing I wanted to talk about was surrounding immigration again. People are calling out the mass influx of Islam into the West. And do you think that the people that are sounding that alarm bell have any merit to say we cannot continue to let it flow unabated into Western countries like Canada, America, the UK? Well, we see what's happening in the UK. Do they have merit for saying we need to limit that?
It is really concerning. It's really concerning. We need to stop unvetted, undocumented, illegal immigration. We should see our capacity in Canada. So, legal, high profile, high skilled, limited immigration. Definitely, it is essential for economic growth. And no, mass immigration, it's really harmful for the society. And the illegal immigrants destroy the country. And mass immigration is the worst thing for legal immigrants. So the legal immigrants are the first victim of mass immigration. And you can see what happened to downtown Toronto. You can see what happened to public transport in Toronto, in major cities of Canada. And it's really sad. It's really sad. And by what happened yesterday in several cities in Toronto, and they raised the jihadi flag in major cities in Canada, I can say that this is not inclusion, this is not multiculturalism, this is not welcoming refugee, this is invasion.
It's hard to argue with those words. Would you have a final word for those people who see the threat, understand the danger, but are still hesitant to speak out because they're afraid of backlash online, at work, from friends? Would you have an encouraging word for those people?
Yes, as we said in the Canadian national anthem, stand on guard for Canada. That's all I'm saying.
Salman, thank you so much for taking the time to have this conversation with me. I really appreciate your time. It was wonderful to have you.
Thank you, Kat, for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you so much for watching this video. Please consider supporting by subscribing to the channel, smashing the like button, and leaving a comment, or even forwarding this link to a friend who might be interested in watching. If you're watching on X, please hit that follow button if you aren't already, and consider supporting by subscribing. It's only like $2 a month. You'll get priority interactions in comments and DMs from me, mediocre personal bonus content, as well as early releases of interviews that I put out. Thank you so much, and see you next time.